Nice place. Tidy. Nothing incriminating that I can see.
People rarely leave anything incriminating out in the open. It's time to have a look around.
That's odd. There are some scratches on the floor next to that statue. That's odd. How about that? Looks like we found Singing Tom's buried treasure.
Let's just see what we have here.
Interesting stuff, but what about the box itself? It seems Puffin's gun has gone missing. He should really take better care of his things. Jenkins and Bowen. The name shares the initials that were on the murder weapon. That's quite a coincidence, wouldn't you say?
I would if I believed in coincidences.
Music books. Clearly Puffin has never touched them. The look in her eye tells me she's probably hiding something. Nothing else in there. Too bad. Puffin's daily planner. The man leads an even more boring life than you. Who knew that was even possible? Huh. I was wondering when he was going to show up. So Puffin plays at home, too? His poor neighbors. Puffin's music room is a bit lacking in comparison to the one in the painting.
It's empty. It's empty. It's empty.
No point wasting time searching Puffin's bedroom. I have a feeling that if there's something to find, it's here in the sitting room. He hasn't got anything else to tell us right now, and he probably wouldn't appreciate the interruption. This seems to be where Ned keeps his extra equipment and assorted other garbage. He won't be much more help right now. Leave him to his practice. He really needs it.
Keep up the good work, Upton. I might have some more questions later.
I have no doubt you will.
Have you got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
Did Ronan know anyone named Priscilla?
Priscilla? No, I never heard that name before. Who is she?
Just a name that's come up in my investigation.
I wonder if Ronan had finally met a young woman.
Oh, boy. Now you've done it.
Those are all the questions I have for now.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
Music book. Music book. Music. 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 The look at the statue. The statue. Nothing else. Puffin's damn. Puffin. Huh. Huh. So Puff.
It's empty. It's empty.
No. What it? Then again, this seems to be. Oh, look! And after they don't look, just makes some. He hasn't. Won't be. Well, this looks like this angel. Empty safer.
June 7th stuff. I think I'd rather not read. February. He's long. My solace is that he will return with plenty of tales. November. Last night. I'm just going to focus on my work.
Just look. This one. This man. Some kind of. Ronan. It's in another language, but it appears to be a Bible. No title. Seems to.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
Edwards, do you know much about the effects of opium?
Quite a great deal, unfortunately. It's all the rage these days. Most people use it to calm the nerves or relieve pain, but it's highly addictive and has numerous adverse effects.
Such as?
It depends, really. Most common are sweating, nausea, memory loss, or blurred vision. But more serious cases can lead to hallucination, violent mood swings, coma, or even death. I just had a case in here a few weeks ago who died from an opium overdose. It wasn't pretty.
Doesn't sound like it. Thanks for the information, Edwards.
Anytime.
I'll be going now, Edwards.
Take care, Fordham.
Things are starting to fall into place here, Miles. Between the letters, the missing gun, and what Edwards told us about the effects of opium, I think we have enough evidence to consider Puffin a suspect.
Have you got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
I've completed my investigation of your brother's murder, Mrs. Morgan.
You have? Oh, that's such a relief to hear. Who killed him?
It was Tom Puffin, the choir master at St. Denis Cathedral.
What? But why would a member of the church do something like that?
Puffin is in love with his nephew Ned's fiancée, Priscilla. He's even gone so far as to intercept their letters and write to each of them under false pretenses. Mr. Puffin is also an avid opium user and is prone to fits of rage as well as hallucinations. The evening of the murder, Puffin was at the Silent Raven, and in his opium-induced fog mistook your brother for Ned. He had his pistol on him, and his rage and jealousy got the better of him. Poor Ronan was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And what about the clothes he was wearing? Or why he was in Chumley in the first place?
I'm afraid your brother fell victim to a cooping gang. They dragged him to Chumley and forced him to vote multiple times. He was wearing someone else's clothes as part of a disguise.
My poor brother. So what happens now?
Now, I'll inform Miss Upton of my findings, and she'll send an officer along to arrest Puffin. From there, justice will be served accordingly.
I see. Thank you for your help, Mr. Fordham.
Tom Puffin?
Yes, may I help you, officer?
You're under arrest for the murder of Ronan Lespay.
What? Oh, God. So it wasn't a dream.
Come along, sir. We need to question you at the station.
You know, Miles, you've been coming in here a lot lately, but you've never looked quite this glum. What's going on?
I've bungled things pretty badly at home. Been staying with a friend the past couple of weeks.
I see. What happened?
I haven't been honest with my wife. Coming here and drowning my sorrows hasn't really helped, oddly enough. And yet, it's all I can do to keep from going crazy.
You know, Miles, I've seen and heard a lot of things over the years. Some of the stories would turn your hair white. But through it all, I've come to learn one thing. It's usually not too late to make things better, but only if you let yourself try.
Thank you for the advice, Patrick.
All I can do is give it, Miles. Whether you choose to take it or not is entirely up to you. Now, would you like another gin?
No, thank you. This time I really do need to be on my way. I should go and see how my wife is doing.
I see. Well, have a good night, Miles. And good luck to you.
Who in the ether? Miles? This is a surprise.
Addie, it's so good to see you. I've been such an idiot lately.
Well, I'm glad you can admit to it. Would you like to come in?
Very much.
Was there something you wanted to talk about?
I've given it a lot of thought, and I think it's time I finally told you the truth.
Miles, what are you doing? You know this is a terrible idea.
The truth?
About why I've been acting the way I have been since Bill died.
Well, go on. I'm listening.
Don't do it, Miles. You know it's a one-way ticket to Riverview if you do.
I've been hearing Bill's voice ever since he died.
Fordham, what is wrong with you?
His voice?
I can't believe this! You've just destroyed your life! I hope you realize that!
Yes, in my head, at all hours. That's why I was taking the soporific. It was the only way to keep him quiet, or so I thought. Turns out that alcohol has the same effect.
What does he say to you?
The type of things he'd say when he was alive. Snarky comments, inappropriate jokes. Mainly he nags me to find the flower shop burglar. He thinks doing that will let him find peace and move on.
I see.
I told you you'd think I was crazy.
Don't be ridiculous, Miles. It's nothing like that. It's just, I wish you had told me sooner is all.
I know, but I was afraid.
Well, I'm glad you finally trusted me. You know, you could have all along.
So, You're all right with it?
It is quite a lot to take in. I think I'll need some time to mull it over. But what matters now is that we can work through this together.
I understand. Well, I should probably go. It was lovely to see you again, Addie.
Lovely to see you too, Miles.
Perhaps I'll stop by again next week?
Or sooner, if you'd like.
Sure. Like the men in white coats aren't gonna have you taken away by then.
Right. I'll see myself out then.
Good night, Miles.
Fordham, wake up.
He just leapt over the side. Oh, Upton. What's going on?
Goodness, Fordham. You look terrible. Is everything all right?
Just had some trouble sleeping. More than usual.
Well, I hope you've rested enough, because I've got something very important to show you.
Oh, wonderful. If we're sharing information now, are you gonna tell Upton about me as well?
What is it?
There's been a murder.
So? People get killed every day in this city.
People, yes. Members of Parliament, no.
Oh, I see. Who's the victim?
A man named Percival McDonough. But this is the real corker. The murder is clearly the work of the Justice Killer.
The Justice Killer? Is that the mass murderer I've been hearing about?
The very same.
Why Justice Killer, though?
It's part of his modus operandi. He kills his victims with a single gunshot to the head, then writes the word justice somewhere in the room with the victim's blood.
Talk about melodramatic.
The police are stumped. This is the killer's 5th victim, and there isn't a single lead.
So you want me to investigate?
Not just yet. First, I need you to look at these sketches.
Crime scene sketches? Upton, are you allowed to have these?
Relax, Fordham. These are just copies I made with the station's ferroduplicator. These killings need to stop, and I believe you can succeed where the department has so far failed.
So, what am I looking for?
The police went over each crime scene with a fine-toothed comb and turned up practically no useful physical evidence. I want a second opinion from you. If you can find some sort of link between them, it might be possible to track this monster down.
All right, let's see what we can see. Maybe there's something that Snelling's finest overlooked.
Here are the 4 sketches. Have a look at them and see if you notice anything that might help us find this maniac.
Maybe you should write crazy over your bed. Wait, what's that? I see an important clue. Just kidding. Boring, just like everything else in this sketch. Yeah, he's dead. Big deal. Boring. I'm really not in the mood to be analyzing crime scene sketches right now. I don't feel like looking at dead bodies right now. Is there something more exciting we could be doing? I'm sure this is terribly relevant, but I've got nothing to say about it. Oh, were you hoping for some witty insight? Shame, because you're not getting any. If only you hadn't told Adelaide about me, I might share my thoughts with you. As it is, you're on your own. What's the point? It's not like you're actually going to be able to investigate this case. Whoever drew this was a hack. That looks more like a piece of toast than a flower.
Interesting.
Oh, what? You actually found something without my help? I'm shocked.
Upton?
What is it, Fordham?
About those crime scene sketches.
Yes?
How in the ether were you able to get these sketches out from the department?
I told you, they're just duplicates. Snelling installed one of those fancy new ferroduplicators a few months ago. They let you copy any document. Trust me, nobody even noticed that I took the sketches from evidence. I know how to cover my tracks.
I certainly hope so. I think I found a connection.
I knew you would. What is it?
There's a single flower at each crime scene. They look deliberately placed.
There is? Let me have a look. You're right. One lily at each scene.
Wait, what did you say?
These flowers, they're lilies. Easter lilies, I think.
I don't believe it.
Upton, this is incredible. This is the lead I've been searching for.
What? You mean for another case?
The flower shop burglar. He was stealing Easter lilies. And I distinctly remember him saying something about his desire to uphold justice. At the time, I thought it was just the rambling of a lunatic, but now it seems so obvious.
So the flower shop burglar is the justice killer?
It seems too much of a coincidence otherwise.
Well, then that's wonderful. You can kill two birds with one stone. Excellent work, Fordham. I knew you could do it.
What exactly are the details regarding this justice killer?
The killings began a few months ago, and so far he's claimed 5 victims. The department wanted to keep this information out of the public eye to prevent a panic, but word has gotten out. On the bright side, it makes your involvement in the case much less suspicious.
What can you tell me about the previous victims?
4 men from Chumley: Hannibal Kirkland, Reggie Willingham, Ennis Bowditch, and Burley Cause. No known connection between any of them aside from the borough they lived in. I have copies of the police reports from each of the crime scenes. Go ahead and take them.
Thank you, Upton. What are the details regarding the killer's latest victim?
As I mentioned, the victim is Percival McDonough, a member of Parliament. He was found this morning by his secretary in his office. I expect the official investigation is still underway.
So the killer managed to get into the Houses of Parliament. No easy feat.
You can say that again. It's the killer's first high-profile victim. It means he's getting bolder.
I suppose I'll have to drop by and see for myself. Everything all right with you?
Oh, I'm getting by. I expect things will go back to normal once this killer is caught.
I haven't worn out my welcome here yet, have I?
No, you're still tolerable. But when was the last time you washed your hair?
You're starting to sound like Adelaide. I should get back to it.
Not a bad idea.
Right. I think I have enough information to get started. I think I'll begin with...
Odd. I wasn't expecting company. Chief Snelling?
Uh-oh.
Upton, we need to talk. Fordham, I should have guessed I'd find you here.
Ah, Chief Snelling. What a pleasant surprise.
I'm equally pleased to see you, Fordham, although having you here does save me a bit of trouble.
Trouble?
Those are some rather interesting decorations. Would either of you care to explain how they got here?
And once again, the jig is up. I hope you can talk your way out of this one, too.
I asked Upton to get me the duplicates of the sketches. This was my doing.
Even if that were the case, Upton still broke the law by aiding you.
How did you find out about the copies?
The ferroduplicator makes a report of every employee who uses it, as well as what was copied. A rather useful feature for instances such as these. Wouldn't you agree?
These gadgets are going to be the undoing of us all.
In any case, I did some digging and discovered some intriguing information. Upton, why have you been passing on classified police information to Mr. Fordham?
Because he's the best detective you ever had on the force, and you know it.
Is that right? Personally, I don't consider getting your partner killed the mark of a great detective. But what's done is done. Constance Upton, your employment with the New Britannia Police Department is hereby terminated.
But
I should add that it's only because of your 25 years of dedicated service that I'm not pressing charges against you. But as for you, Fordham, I have enough evidence to place you under arrest for obstruction of justice and interfering with police investigations. Do you have anything to say in your defense before I take you in for questioning?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. I know who the Justice Killer is.
Fordham, if this is your idea of a diversion...
It's true. I found a link in the sketches of the crime scenes.
All right, let's hear it then. What do you think you found?
I'll tell you if you promise to let me take the case.
Out of the question, Fordham. This is a police matter.
And the police haven't made progress in months. Fordham figured it out in a matter of minutes. Admit it, Snelling. Fordham is your best shot at finding the killer. Are you gonna let your personal differences put the people of this city in danger?
Fine. I'll let you continue to operate as an assistant in this case, if you have actually found something of value. Now, what is this link?
He leaves a single Easter lily at each crime scene. The same type of flowers the burglar and the chum was stealing.
I see. A tenuous link, but plausible. I'll give you until tomorrow afternoon. If you haven't come up with anything, I'm throwing you in jail.
Sounds fair to me.
And don't get any clever ideas about leaving town, either.
Come now, would I do something like that?
Fordham, it seems there's no telling what you might do. I'm probably a fool for not clapping you in irons right here and now. When you have something to report, come find me in my office. Don't make me regret this.
Well, that went better than I expected.
Except you're still fired. I didn't have a chance to get him to change his mind.
We'll worry about that after you catch the killer. In the meantime, I could use a drink. I'll see you later, Fordham.
Well, better get to work then. Clock is ticking.
Fordham, what brings you to this delightful spectacle?
Hello, Edwards. I'm investigating the Justice Killer. I believe I've got a very promising lead.
I heard an officer mention new orders from Snelling, but I thought he was just pulling my leg. Feel free to have a look around. I'm just writing up the notes from my initial examination of the body, so I'll be happy to share my findings.
Good. I'll just get started then.
Nothing but a bunch of boring documents. You'd think he could have at least been considerate enough to keep something scandalous in here. Looks pretty fresh. I wonder what the killer uses to write with. Odd. The page for this month has been torn out. Do you suppose Edwards might know anything about that? Nothing has been written in yet for next month. Curious. The former Percival McDonough, being a good politician. Leave it to a politician to hang a portrait of himself in his own office. These appear to be books on cryptography. I suppose everyone needs a hobby. History, biographies, and autobiographies. Dull, dull, dull. History books and political theory. I might die of boredom, again. History books and political...
Got a moment, Edwards?
Of course. What's on your mind?
So, what was found at the crime scene?
A dead body.
Edwards.
Hey, just trying to lighten the mood a bit. Anyway, there was also the word justice written in blood, as you can see on the floor there.
Is that all?
What more do you need? All the pieces are in place. This is the work of the Justice Killer.
How did your examination of the body turn up?
Apparent cause of death was a single gunshot to the head, exactly like all the other victims. The bullet is still lodged in his brain. I'll remove it once I transport the body back to the mortuary.
Anything else?
No personal effects of note, just a folded-up piece of paper in his breast pocket. It's blank, so the police weren't interested. I assume you aren't either.
Never assume, Edwards. I'll take it if you don't mind.
Be my guest.
Did the police manage to learn anything during their investigation?
Not much beyond what I've already told you. I think they were planning on speaking to the victim's wife, though.
Did you get the address?
I did, as a matter of fact. 1820 Kent Place.
Now we get to deal with the grieving widow. Hopefully the officers who delivered the news got the worst of it.
Did you find an Easter lily anywhere?
An Easter lily?
Yes. The Justice Killer leaves one at every crime scene.
Is that right? I never noticed.
Neither did anyone else, apparently.
So how does leaving a lily at the scene of the crime figure into all of this?
I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think it might be important to understanding his motive.
Well, be sure to let me know if you do figure it out. The thought process of killers is a twisted, curious thing.
What's your take on this whole Justice Killer situation?
It's giving me a lot of extra work, let me tell you. We haven't had a serial murderer in a long time, not since that fellow who was poisoning people about 10 years ago.
Ah, yes. Gascon Ghoul. Now there was a case.
Any theories or insights regarding the killer's motive or identity?
That's not really my specialty. If you want to get into that psychology stuff, you're better off talking to someone like Snelling.
Does it feel good to be out of the office?
As long as I have the chance to examine a body and learn something in the process, I don't care where I am. Though I do admit a preference to working in my own environment. Fieldwork can be a bit uncertain. There's so much more potential for contamination, especially with those clumsy officers trouncing about groping everything. Present company excluded, of course.
Edwards, did you notice McDonough's desk calendar?
I did. This month has been torn out. I asked the officers investigating the scene, and they had no idea what happened to it.
So it wasn't found in this room?
That's right. My theory is that the killer took it.
Which means there was probably something incriminating written on it. If only there was some way of knowing what it was.
Miles, have you forgotten the oldest trick in the book? Just find a pencil and you'll have that information in no time.
Edwards, do you have a pencil I might borrow?
Of course. Take this one.
Thank you. That's all for now, Edwards.
Good luck with your investigation.
A classic trick. Let's see if it works. Aha! McDonough met with this person the night of the murder. I'll bet 500 crowns it's a false name, but at least it's something. Intriguing. We'll need to find out who this Ruby is. No time to waste with further conversation right now. You've got a killer to find. Nothing but a bunch of boring